911 operators of Reddit, what is the creepiest call you've handled? Story 1. I work in a CCC, Combined Communication Center, and we have 4 agencies working together. We have about 5 call takers during the night. One night around 2 to 3 a.m., quiet as can be, one call taker gets a call with a woman screaming, and then the woman disconnects the line. About 5 seconds after that, all our lines light up ringing at once. That's about 16 lines, when we only have 5 call takers. Every line we answered was only people screaming with no understanding what was going on. No person would give us anything, no address, no reason why they're calling, nothing. So for about 2 to 3 minutes, we have no idea what's going on. Good for us, we can ping cell phones and get a location at least. Well, by this time, we got officers rolling, a lot of officers rolling to this location, and right when they got close, we figured out what was going on. There was a party and there was a shooting. People did die. It's not really creepy when you know that, but for the first couple minutes, when we don't know why people are calling only screaming, holy cow, it was insane. Story 2. I'm a 911 police dispatcher. The most important phone call I ever received is when I just started with, was police about 16 years ago. I was 21, about 2 months in, very green, and still getting used to this crazy job. So, I get a call from a male who flipped his car on the highway and was trapped. This wasn't unusual, to be honest. It does happen from time to time, especially in rural areas and at night when people drive while they're sleepy. Most people are bugging out and screaming while I try to get their info and send help. My job is basically to obtain a location, start police fire and ambulance rolling that way, and keep the caller calm and speaking to me to make sure he doesn't lose consciousness. So, the involved driver, who I'll call Zach, was about my age, early 20s, very calm and cooperative and even joking. He was hanging upside down because the car was on its side, and he had injured his leg. It was all good. Help was about 10 minutes out, and Zach and I were chatting and even laughing about this crazy experience. I knew he was blocking the roadway in his vehicle and was hoping a passerby would stop and help him out. Unfortunately, he was on a blind corner and a car came flying around and struck his rolled-over vehicle while he was still talking to me. Lots of screaming and yelling. I could tell he was pretty messed up, but I tried to keep him talking. He was just coughing and moaning. Sadly, the 10 things that need to happen for a car to ignite happened. Smoke and flames started pouring into Zach's car, and he started screaming, "Fire! I'm on fire!" Basically, I listened while this poor kid burned to death. I still think about that call daily when I come to work. I've trained several new dispatchers and told that story to all of them. I've always said it's the most important call I've ever taken, because nothing will ever be as bad as that. Story 3. A few years ago, my mum was working as a dispatcher for the police. She received a call from a young woman who had arrived home from work and said the house felt like someone had been in there. She was convinced it was her husband, as she had an apprehended violence order against him. She said he'd broken in before and moved stuff, but this time felt different, and that she was scared. Mum logged it, said police were about 20 minutes away, but said she'd stay on the line to take more details about past events, etc. She thought it was just a break-in, or that the woman was paranoid. Then the woman walked through the house to see if anything was missing. Something caught her eye in the hallway, and she approached to realize there were hand and footprints up the hallway walls going to the ceiling access manhole. She told Mum, then got a chair. Mum begged her to get out of the house and upgraded the priority. The woman put the phone down, stood on the chair, and began to lift the manhole cover. It rose a little bit as per normal, then slammed down by the weight of someone standing on it. The woman began screaming. Her husband beat her viciously before cops arrived. When they searched it, there was a whole room set up, and it looked like he'd been living up there for days. I'm now wary of manhole covers in my own house. Story 4. My uncle was an operator, and he tells this story each Thanksgiving. It's around, say, 2 a.m., and he gets a call. He describes it like this. 999, what's your emergency? Hello? My boyfriend is acting strange. I need an ambulance. ASAP, please. Okay, ma'am. Calm down. We will have one with you. Her voice raised slightly, sounding concerned. Please hurry. He's walking to the kitchen. Okay, ma'am. Can you get him back to the room? I can try. He said there was growling and screaming. Then the phone just stopped. When the ambulance got there, no one was home. Story 5. A few of us in the dispatch center had gotten a series of calls one night from a child. Now, I say that in quotes because honestly, none of us knew if this was a child or not after a while. One dispatcher would get a call from this person, sounding male and exactly like a child, saying they were home alone and didn't know their address. The next dispatcher would get another call from an older sounding female voice, calling themselves another name. Now, this was a cell phone that wasn't being especially helpful in narrowing down where they were in the county. The signal would not stay put and was bouncing around enough we couldn't just send someone out to an address or even an area. We asked them to find some mail or a magazine that has the address on it, and they couldn't for whatever reason. It wasn't there, or they didn't want to look. Asked them to describe their house, surroundings, etc. They would either not answer questions or couldn't describe things very well. It was just creepy, as the kid called back numerous times, changing their voice and name, and really gave us all the willies. They sounded extremely serious, no giggling or fooling around. They just told weird stories about their life and parents.